Thanks for having me. I was actually just in Boston a few days ago at a preaching conference. Just jumped on a plane, so I've been travelling for 30 hours. Just got back to Melbourne 2 days ago. And the whole time I was on the plane, I had to stick my head out the window and tell myself it's daytime, it's daytime, it's daytime to reset my body clock. Also, before the plane took off in Boston, we got held up for 3 hours because someone they rang the thing to say, is there a doctor on board? And usually as a doctor, you quickly answer it because it's never going to be anything. Someone's got a sore knee, and if you volunteer, they give you a bottle of wine afterwards. yes, I'm a doctor. And I get there, and this guy who's full on had a heart attack. And so they've got the oxygen on him, and fortunately, 2 other doctors got there first. I was the third doctor. And so I said to the flight attendant, you've got plenty of doctors here. I'll sit back down. And they said, no, we need everyone. So I'm there, but fortunately I was at the feet, and another doctor had taken over the resuscitation, and he was in control. He said, we need a stethoscope, so they got him a stethoscope. We need a pulse oximeter, so they got him a pulse oximeter. We need a blood pressure reading, so they got him that. He took a medical history, he talked to the wife, and he transferred the guy to the paramedics, and it was very well done. So I said to him afterwards, wow, you're amazing. What sort of doctor are you? And he said, I'm an allergist. So the whole time he was just bluffing. It was just all smoke and mirrors. Give me a stethoscope, give me this. But he had no idea. And he got his bottle of wine, and that's that. So that's the same with being pastors and evangelists. We feel like we're bluffing. What are we doing? So today I'll give us several things to put in our toolkit. So just like that guy had a stethoscope and looked like he knew what he was doing, pulse oximeter looked like he knew what he was doing. I'll give us several toolkits to help us look like we know what we're doing when it comes to evangelism. And I'm sure you guys have had just as much experience as me, so it's not so much me the expert, but we're all on a journey together, and hopefully in question and answer time I can hear some of your wisdom as well. So the first thing I want to give you in your toolkit is what's known as a W spectrum. And forgive me because I spoke in Melbourne earlier in the year, and I can't remember what I shared earlier in the year and what I haven't shared. So there might be some overlap. So the W1 spectrum I got from the EMQ, the Evangelical Missions Quarterly, and it comes from two authors called Farah and Meek. And if you're a note taker, feel free to keep scribbling. But just to let you know, I've got a book on evangelism coming out in March next year. We'll have a lot of this as well. So if you can't keep up, we'll all be in the book March next year. Alright, so it's in my best interest to talk really, really quickly. So but according to these authors, a way of understanding evangelism is there's a spectrum. There's W1, 2, 3, or 4. So in W1 evangelism, our aim is to oppose the culture storyline. In W2 evangelism, our aim is to undermine the culture storyline. In W3, we retain and we repurpose the storyline. And in W4, we invite the people to follow Jesus within their storyline. So Jesus fits within their storyline. And so in W1, if you're going to preach the gospel to the culture in W1 evangelism, we'll basically say, you guys are wrong. You guys are wrong, and you need to reject your culture to completely follow Christ. You need to reject your culture if you want to follow Jesus. In W2 evangelism, we say your culture is inferior, so you need to abandon it. You need to leave it behind in place of Christ. So replace your culture with Christ. In W3 evangelism, when we give them the gospel, we say, your storyline is good, but Christ can make it better. And in W4 evangelism, we say, your culture storyline is heading in the right direction. Now, just come further and Christ will fulfill your cultural storyline. So if we had to go with the model of Christ, because we have many models or metaphors of Christ in the Bible, here in W1, Christ triumphs over their culture. he defeats their culture. In W2 evangelism, Christ replaces their culture. Christ replaces their culture. In 3, Christ transforms their culture and makes it better. And in W4, Christ fulfills. He completes the culture storyline. He gives the storyline the happy ending they're looking for. And if we were to say, what is the model of sin that's operating in each one? In W1, the model of sin here will be transgression. You guys have broken a law, you're guilty, you're wrong, you have rebelled. In W2, I'm guessing your sin is idolatry. You're worshipping the wrong thing, now worship Christ. In W3, it's more brokenness. You're broken, now come to Jesus. And in W4, you are falling short of where you can be. You're falling short of where you need to be. And there are examples of all 4 in the Bible, and often evangelism is a mix of all 4. And I think we need the combination of all 4 in our evangelism, because sometimes we need to enter a culture, so that's W3 and 4, and then we also need to challenge the culture, that's 1 and 2. And I think examples in the Bible of W1 would be Jesus coming to the temple with a whip. You guys are wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And he comes through with a whip. WT2 could be Jesus with a rich young ruler. You know, come on, sell everything you have, follow me. You need to replace what you're serving and worshipping and make me your worship now. That's the rich young ruler. W3, I'm thinking that's Jesus and the woman at the well. You know, good that you want water, but really you need the living water. So I can repurpose your storyline. And she was a very broken woman who seems to be abandoned by 5 husbands in a row, now living with a person who won't even marry her. And W4 is Paul in Athens, Acts 17. Wow! You've got a lot of idols. Like, just think about it. He's with the idols. He could have come in W1. You guys are wrong. You've broken the first 2 laws of the 10 Commandments. So you're guilty, you're breaking all of them. You are wrong, you have rebelled, you are guilty, you need to be forgiven. Instead he goes, wow! You've got a lot of idols. I see you're very religious. That's their storyline. You're religious. You want to worship. You want to appease the gods. But you don't know the name of the God. Let me now. You need to come further to Jesus, and he will give you the happy ending you are looking for. So Jesus, you are falling short of where you can be. You're falling short of where you need to be. I will fulfill your storyline. So here you enter a culture. Here you challenge culture. And the more and more I read the Bible, it seems like the place for W1 and 2 is to church people who should have known better, who had the scriptures, who know the scriptures. So the apostles preaching to the Jews in Acts use W1 and 2. They say, hey, you got the scriptures, God sent you the Messiah, you killed the Messiah, you are guilty. So then they go, wow, what must we do to be forgiven? But then to the pagans who were unchurched, who didn't know better, who didn't have the scriptures, they seem to use 3 and 4 to the unchurched who were without the scriptures. And they appeal to general revelation first. Wow, there's a God who loves you and made you. He's given you crops, he's given you rain. Now you need to worship him. Come a bit further and worship the giver, not just the gift. So it's more W3. They enter the storyline before they challenge it. So that's the first tool I want to give us. Think about W1, 2, 3, 4. And I think we've grown up used to this one, where we're oppositional to culture. But we can also learn from this one where we're affirmational, attractional to culture. So there's a place for all of them, but I think we've been skewed on this side, and we need to learn to balance it out with that side. So that's the first tool in the toolkit. The second one I want to give us, and forgive me if it's overlapping what we've done before, we need to learn to work with their storyline. which is really W3 and W4 evangelism. You need to learn to work with their storyline. So if you came here last time I was here, I gave us the fictitious story about Jane and Jack. And I said Jane is an Asian American girl, high schooler, studying hard. She wants to get into law, and she turns up to your youth group on a Friday night. So what do? You say to Jane, you have made study an idol. If you're serious about following Jesus, you need to give up your studies. In fact, if you're really serious about following Jesus, you need to give up law and go into full-time ministry and become a youth worker. And then into your youth group also walks in Jack. Blonde-haired, a surfer, just in his board shorts, no shirt, and his dream in life is to drop out of high school to go surfing every day. So what do to Jack? You say, you have made surfing an idol. If you're serious about following Jesus, you will give up surfing and apply your God-given gifts at school and study hard and get into medicine. And even better, become a youth worker like me. And the point I was making back then was, we didn't actually give Jane or Jack the gospel. We gave Jane and Jack our culture, which is what's called uncontextualized legalism or colonialism. And worse, we actually made Jane become Jack, and we told Jack to become Jane. We thought we were giving them Jesus. We actually gave them a culture instead. So what we need to learn is, to prevent this from happening, we need to know what is their storyline. And according to Tim Keller, an easy way of understanding a culture is to work out what is their storyline, what is their mission, who are the good guys, who are the bad guys, and who are the good guys. What is a story? So Timothy Keller, Little Red Riding Hood takes food to her grandmother. That's not a story, that's an event. A story is this: Little Red Riding Hood takes food to her grandma, but a wolf is hiding, pretending to be the grandma, but a woodsman comes and saves the day. That's a story. She has a mission, take food to the grandma. There's a bad guy, a wolf, who stops the mission from happening, but there's a good guy who comes along and fulfills the mission for her. So then we say, what is Jane's mission? Okay, yeah, I'll throw it to you. So her mission is to become a doctor. Who are the bad guys in her storyline? Jack. They're the surfers who get her dropping out of school. So party, friends, a good time. Who are the good guys in her culture storyline? Parents, that's right. Authority figures and teachers. Alright, Jack's mission is to surf. Who are the bad guys in Jack's storyline? Yeah, the youth workers, Jane, the Asians, and because they push up the price of real estate now, we can't live near the beach. and authority figures. Who are the good guys in Jack's culture? Fellow surfers, friends, party, a good time. So isn't it amazing? So in their culture, the good guys and bad guys are completely flipped around. That's how we understand a culture. Now, we need to dig deeper now. With a culture, we need to work out, well, what is their existential cry? So, Ecclesiastes 3, maybe I'm violating the exegesis of Ecclesiastes 3, but there might be another Bible verse that will support me. That says, every heart cries out for transcendence, for eternity. We all have a God-given existential cry, a God-given legitimate need. So every culture's mission reflects a God-given existential cry. So we listen hard. Jane's mission isn't really to become a doctor. It's not, is it? So what is really her mission? What's her existential cry for?
Please her parents.
To please her parents. To give honour to her parents, to not shame her parents. Because in Jane's culture, on wedding day, whose day is it? It's the parents' day. They control the invite list. There'll be 10 tables of people she doesn't know because it's a parents' day. If Jane goes to the careers advisors and says, what job should I do? The career advisor will say, what do your parents want you to do? That's her culture. So it's to honour her family. What else is her existential cry? Why else does she want to be a doctor? Status is to be somebody. Humankind, top 10 desires that drive us. Number 1 is to be somebody, to be recognised, respect, to be honoured, to be somebody. So to honour the parents, to be somebody. What else? What else is their existential pride? Achievement, status, success, money. And what does money represent in her culture? Security. She's actually chasing security. That's what she's chasing. And so the bad guys will take this away from her. She doesn't study hard enough, but if she studies it hard enough, honours her parents, she will achieve her happy ending. She'll be a doctor, she'll have security, honour, respect, she'll be somebody. Jack's mission, is it really surfing? What is it really? If we hear his existential cry. Pleasure. Freedom. That's what it is, it's freedom. That's what he's chasing. And the bad guys, the teachers, the parents, the Asians are going to take his freedom away. But the good guys, his mates, party, a good time, pleasure, will give him freedom. So then what we need to do, if we use W3, W4 evangelism, we need to enter their storyline first. So we need to resonate, enter before we challenge, which is what I call dissonate, and then dissonate is where you empty the water in front of them and say you have an empty cup. Now we fill the cup with Jesus. So basically what we're doing here is we resonate. We say, I hear your storyline, I understand your storyline, and I feel your storyline. So it's everything, guys, we were taught in pre-marriage counselling. So whenever you have a fight with your wife, remember you just have to learn to hear her, understand her, and feel her. So when my wife says, you're not taking out the garbage enough, I need to hear her. And I just repeat the words back at her. Oh, from what I hear you saying, I'm not taking out the garbage enough. And then you just got to understand her, just summarise words in your own words to show you performing some sort of high analytical thinking. So, oh, I understand that means I'm not pulling my weight in the house duties. That must make you feel, and you just guess an emotion. and it's always anger. So you do the same, we do the same. I hear your storyline, I understand your storyline, I feel the emotion behind it. Until we do that, we haven't entered. So my friend John Dykes, he once got to do some public talks where he was meant to debunk Dawkins' book, The God Delusion and The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. And John Dykes and I sat down and said, these are such Mickey Mouse books, they're so easy to debunk. Even the atheist philosophers are embarrassed by them, they're just too simple. But that's not the point. They're top 10 bestsellers in New York, London, Sydney. People want the books to be true. So you've got to hear it, you understand, and then you've got to feel the emotion behind the storyline before you allow a challenge, dissonate. Show there's something missing, deficient in their storyline. Show there's something dissonant, maybe clashing in their storyline. And then say, you actually need Jesus. Jesus will give you the happy ending you're looking for. He's the only way of giving you the happy ending you're looking for. And it'll be a far better happy ending than what you're looking for. You get them wishing, this is Tim Keller's words, wishing Jesus was true. Meaning, I want that to be true. Yes, well, it is true. So you want it, you believe it, and it's true. So with Jane, you say, I hear you. You want to get a medicine because you want to honour your parents. You want security. But then you dissonate. You actually won't find security in medicine. There are many insecure doctors out there. You're forever chasing a dream, chasing a rainbow. You'll never find it in medicine or achievements. Because the trouble with being a high achiever is you remember your failures more than your successes. And you need trophies for yourself just as much as you need them for other people. So it actually makes you proud and insecure. It's actually a very destructive way to live. You need Jesus. Jesus will give you the security because he loves you just the way you are. You can stop pretending to be someone you're not. Just be who you are. God loves you the way you are. You'll be liberated. You'll find freedom in Jesus. That's how you complete the Asian storyline. With the Aussie, this is the $1 million question. How do you do it in the 21st century? You're after freedom. You're after freedom. But actually, you won't find it in surfing. This is how my surfing buddies do it. Because there's a pecking order in surfing. There's a hierarchy, a and you have to stay fit and young and strong to maintain your position. And it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. It's not freeing at all. It is a pecking order. And now at housing prices, you will be trapped in a job, a mortgage, just to maintain a lifestyle, and it will own you. So rather than give you freedom, it will own you. And there's something very empty and unfulfilling about pleasure. All you're doing is eat a pizza and watch TV on Friday night. It's very pleasurable for a while, a bit empty and unfulfilling. You need purpose. You need actually to be fulfilled, you need a purpose. Jesus comes to set you free. Jesus gives you freedom just to be who you are. Stop pretending to be someone you're not. So maybe that's a storyline for Aussies. So if you ever do, if you're Caucasian, the first thing you notice when you go to university is, wow, there's so many Asians. Like, where's where the Asians come from? And then you go to a Christian group on campus, it's all Asian. Like, where are the white people? Like, I remember once I got asked to speak 10 years ago to a Christian group on campus at Sydney University. I thought, there is not a single Caucasian here. Really, it's a room full of non-Caucasian people. Why is it? I think, this is my theory, there are many reasons, but one main reason is, whether we knew it or not, with Asians we're giving them W3, W4 evangelism. You're after status, you're after security, Jesus will give that to you. He will set you free from the status anxieties of your parents. It will set you free from the superstitions and rituals of your parents. It will set you free from the drive for status and success. It will set you free. So there's something very liberating for an Asian about becoming a Christian. And then you just got to see how your Asian friends with non-Christian parents have to live. Oh, they're in bondage. So if you find Jesus, he sets you free. Whereas in a Western storyline, Jesus will take away your freedom. He will take away your freedom. Right now, you're enjoying a great life, but if you pick up Jesus, your life will be worse. You'll be worse off. And you look at your Christian friends, they are worse off. They're not having a better time than you. They're worse off. And so there's something oppressive about Christianity in the Australian storyline. And I think we need to relearn the way we tell our stories. So I had to speak at an evangelistic night the other night at a restaurant, and I had someone get up and give a testimony. And because we've heard the language so often, her testimony sounded like everyone. You know, I used to teach at a Bible college, and they give the Bible college students the job of giving the testimony at a church. They don't trust them with the Bible talk, so they do the testimony. And I just sit there and think, every testimony sounds the same. It's got to the point where, if you forgot to bring your testimony, you could go to your Bible college friend and go, can I borrow yours? And they had the same language. Her language was, I used to live my life my way, my own way, and then I found Jesus. Well, to a non-Christian, that's saying, you just got robbed of your life. Now you're oppressed. You're living someone else's storyline. It should be. I think there is a time and place for that. It's W1, W2. But if you want to try W3, W4, it's whatever I was living for was owning me. Whatever I was living for was destroying me. And I was destroying it. Because I wanted my job to make me somebody, and my job was destroying me. And I needed a trophy family to be somebody. And so I was destroying my family by making them be something they could never be, by projecting my fears and insecurities upon them. But I found Jesus, and Jesus sets me free. Okay? We need to preach freedom. That's what we need to preach. Jesus can give freedom. The more we read the book of Luke, Jesus is always at a party, he's always at a banquet, he's been criticised for eating and drinking too much in the book of Luke. And every time someone receives Jesus, they receive him with joy. There's joy in the New Testament. Why are we not preaching this part of the New Testament? I caught an Uber ride last night. It was a 50-minute journey. I have a love-hate relationship with Uber. Because with Uber, if you want a good rating as a passenger, you need to sit in the front seat and make conversation. And it's just like a slow-moving train wreck for me when I catch Uber. Because they always go, where are you going? To a restaurant. Why are you going to the restaurant? Okay. I'm an ordained Christian minister, I'm in Christian ministry, and I'm going to give a talk from the Bible about Jesus. There, get it over and done with it. I'm moving on the Band-Aid. And for the next 50 minutes, I got to tell her the gospel. She said, what is Jesus all about? I said, he's come to set you free. He's actually come to set you free. There is joy. Tell me what you're looking for in life. She said, I look for beauty. Wow, tell me about that. So I'm trying to hear her, understand her, and feel it. How do you look for beauty? Where do you find beauty? Wow, let me tell you about Jesus. let me work within your storyline and tell you about beauty. And I said, we think religion, it's all about working hard, trying to be the best person we can be, and if we have a bad day, now the next day we have to make up even harder for that. She says, yeah, but Jesus can set us free from all that. Wow. So I told her to listen to bigger questions. So that's how we didn't attract. But we had a 30-minute conversation, and I told her, listen, Jesus can set you free. There is joy, and there is purpose, there's hope, there's meaning. Anyway, so work within the storyline. That's number 2. How much time do I have? Number 15. All right. So number 3 is out there. People are looking for purpose. That's what they're looking for. So the critical research says they're not looking for salvation. They're not looking for forgiveness. They need it, but it's not their heart cry. It's not the first thing in their heart. So for Martin Luther it was looking for forgiveness. But our friends right now are looking for freedom and purpose and hope. And as I was saying more maybe in the bigger questions thing, it used to be, what are we trying to do in life? It's survive. Because survival of the species. We're just trying to survive. And that's the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy, meant survive. But after that, that's a bit nothing, blur. We're just surviving day to day. So then it became, the point of life is success. Get a job, get a house, make some money. That was our parents' generation. I found that a bit empty and unfulfilling. So the present generation, they've been told, you need to find happiness. You've got to do whatever it takes to make you happy. That's every graduation speech in every university and high school across the Western world right now. You've got to believe in yourself, chase your dreams, and do whatever makes you happy. That's the overarching cry. But now the children are starting to say, you don't know what a burden that is. At least our parents, they knew when they found success. They knew when they got the job, the car, and paid the bills. We don't know if we found happiness. We never find happiness. It's like chasing a rainbow. So, but we've been told you've got to do whatever it takes to make you happy. So now we've got to try harder and harder to be happy. It just made us more busy, more tired, more stressed, more unhappy. So now they're saying it's not survival, it's not success, it's not happiness. All the psychology books out now in the top 10 list are saying it's purpose. You need purpose. Every single self-help book right now is saying you need purpose. But if the purpose of life is to find purpose, that's circular. And this is where we can come in and say, guess what? You know what purpose is? It's to have a story bigger than your own story to live for. That's where Jesus fits in. That's what I told the Uber driver last night. So we're doing what Paul is doing in Acts 17, where we quote their authors back at them. We read their writers and say, this is what your writers are saying. You need purpose. But if the purpose of life is purpose, it means you need a bigger story than your own story to live for. That's where Jesus comes. He gives us hope, direction, and a goal. There's a really good book out there. Everyone out there in the non-Christian world seems to know. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Holocaust survivor. He says the only way we can survive and live is if we have purpose. So if we don't have purpose, we can't live. And he's actually very sympathetic to the idea of a God. He just doesn't know whether it's a Christian God or the Judaic God, but he just knows there must be a God, otherwise life doesn't make sense. And most people seem to come to a spiritual ending in these self-help books. It's like Stephen Bidoff in his book on manhood, the last chapter is spirituality. It's more than work, it's more than family. You actually need a transcendent story to live for. So most of these writers seem to get to the same point. And that's where we say, well, we're here to give you that transcendent story to live for. Viktor Frankl ends with this amazing story in his book. He says, hypothetically, let's say there are two women. He says, one woman, she gives birth to a child with profound disabilities. And now for the rest of her life, she has to abandon her dreams and raise a child with disabilities. Another woman is beautiful. She has money. She's successful. He says at the end of their life, this woman will say, what was all that about? I was beautiful, I flirted with men, I went to parties, I had everything I want. This woman will say, I raised a child with disabilities. She will be fulfilled because she had purpose. She will not be fulfilled. She only had pleasure. So Viktor Frankl says, you need purpose, not just pleasure, you need purpose. That's the entry line into our culture's storyline. because they're crying for purpose. We give them purpose. Okay, number 4, maybe another way of telling the gospel. Another way of telling the gospel, number 4. And I'm getting this from Timothy Keller, and maybe you've heard me give it before. He says, one way of telling the gospel is manger, cross, king. And if we want to be theologically nerdy, the manger is the incarnation, the cross is the atonement, and the king is the renewal or restoration. Manger, Jesus came to us as a human. And then you say a bit about his ministry, because we leave out his ministry. So in the Apostles' Creed, my PhD supervisor, Graham Cole, told me, we believe in Jesus Christ, born of a virgin, suffered under Pontius Pilate. So I'm just fast forward 30 years. So maybe, okay, he came to us as a human, did some amazing things, healed the sick, gave sight to the blind, but he died on the cross in our place to save us as the atonement. Didn't stay dead, rose again. One day he's going to come in to set up a kingdom on earth. So we believe in Jesus, we will be part of this kingdom, and we actually have a mission now on earth. And the mission now is to bring his love, mercy and justice onto this planet. To start renewing this planet. That's our kingdom work. Now notice what's happened here. Every presentation has deficiencies. So missionaries tell me, why, you know, for unreached people, they need to start further back. God as creator, so we've left out a bit as God as creator. But what this does is it really balances as well the tension that we have in the gospel between individual and the collective, salvation history, and providence, the spiritual and the material, and we could even throw in grace versus works. So if you learn 2 ways to live, it's all on this side. So you are a rebel, you need to be saved, now submit yourself to Jesus, this is a gift. But then, as my Old Testament lecturer, Kirk Paston, points out, in that last square, 2 ways to live, you're just by yourself. There's no planet, so there's no material. So you think, well, what do I do now? Now I'm submitted to Jesus. What do I do? I have no mission now except to wait for Jesus to come again. So there's no place for ethics, for providence, for guidance, for the aesthetics, for art, or for culture. So that's why I tell everyone to go to full-time ministry, because there's nothing to do, there's no planet to look after. So, but then the other presentations would just go the other way. So, because we're saying Jesus died for you on the cross, that's the atonement, there's a stress with the individual need to make a decision, but now you're going to be part of a kingdom. That's the collective, and now you have collective responsibilities with a mission now on earth to renew the work, the earth. So I think it balances a good balance between individual, collective. Yes, it's a spiritual thing, but the material world still matters, so work matters. And yes, I'm saved, but there's a day-to-day providence. I need to look to God for guidance. I need to pray to God and be tuned with the rhythms of what God wants in my life. So manger, cross, king, it's real easy. So when people say, what do Christians believe? I'm going to answer the question. So what did one woman ask me? I was on a plane to Boston, and so we were talking the gospel again. She asked me, do you believe in life after death? And I didn't answer the question. I said, well, this is what we believe. We believe Jesus came to us as a person, and I preached about his earthly ministry. Then he died for us on a cross, so then I talked about the need for the substitution, and Jesus died for us on the cross. Then I talked about one day he's going to set up a kingdom here on earth. So the earth matters. We have a mission now to spread Jesus' love, mercy, and justice. So I never answered the question, I just gave the bottom instead. But it's just really easy memory books. And whenever I conduct the Lord's Supper, it's just a really good memory book. Because you know, the Lord's Supper, you need to give a verbal explanation, according to the reformers, of the visual signs. So I say, we are celebrating a meal today, and we do 3 things at the meal. We remember that Jesus came to us as a real person, and he really did eat a meal with his disciples. And if you were there, you would have had a banquet with Jesus. And we use it to remember that Jesus died for us on a cross, because these things are symbols. And we look forward to the day when Jesus sets up a kingdom on earth and we can have a banquet with Jesus. So you've just done the whole gospel in 3 sentences. So I find that really helpful. I think I'm out of time. I've got a really, really good thing to share. But, yeah?
You've got time.
Have I got time? Okay.
I think it's good.
So, I have a friend, the last one, I call it the Bergen gluten-free thing. Alright, so, out of interest, who here eats gluten-free anything? One. 2. Who here doesn't eat gluten-free anything? Alright, okay, so it was everyone else, or some people just, I don't know where we're going.
I eat anything.
Huh?
I eat anything.
You eat anything, okay. Who is hostile to the idea of gluten-free? Like, this is stupid. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now, imagine if I'm in marketing. What would I do to get the hostile people to eating gluten-free, to becoming regular and being loyal to my brand of gluten-free? Because I have a friend called Tim who works for Bergen gluten-free, and Tim also became a Christian late in life. So he knows what it's like to move from being hostile to Christianity to becoming a Christian. And there are parallels. He said, well, in marketing, if we want to promote gluten-free bread, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, they all sit this way, won't it? So that's got to be careful. Holding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here, you're way over this side. You are hostile. Here, you're open. Number 3, you're considering. Number 4, you're trying out. Number 5, you have entry level acceptance. Number 6, you switch. And number 7, you're loyal. So here you're hostile. There is nothing to the gluten-free thing. It's a hipster fad. It'll pass. Okay, open. Maybe there's something to it, but I'm not doing it. All right, my friends can do it, but I'm not going to do it. Considering, maybe gluten-free is okay, and maybe Bergen gluten-free is okay. Try out. You actually put it in your mouth. There's a first one you put the Bergen gluten-free in your mouth. You go, okay, maybe I should buy it. And so now you have entry-level acceptance. You have bought. You didn't just try it out, now you have actually bought gluten-free Bergen bread. And now it's part of your repertoire of brands. You're not exclusive. You know, some say, hey, try this one instead. Sure, you know, you're not loyal to Bergen. It's in your repertoire of brands. But now you switch. This is what I'm going to eat. Bergen, gluten-free. And now you become loyal. This is only what I'm going to eat. And boy, you should try it out. You should try out Bergen gluten-free. So each stage has a barrier. Barrier number 1 to 2, barrier from 2 to 3. There are barriers between each stage. Also, it's like a funnel, because it's really wide at this level, and each time you move there, the numbers get less and less and less. Broad here, narrow down there. And your major barriers are here, here, and here. But the big one is 4. If I can just get you putting it in your mouth, that is all I'm trying to do, get you to try it out. And this is the next one. These are 2 key stages for me, trying to get you buying my brand of bread. So what do I do over here? Well, here, to get you from here to here, I have to rely on social forces. I have to hope that enough of your friends are trying out gluten-free. Because without friends trying gluten-free, you're not going to do it. So I need social forces. Here, I start using trials and promotions. Maybe some free samples, someone's handing out free samples in the supermarket. Maybe put it on sale, reduced, 50% off. Also, easy access. So it's eye level, it's near the cashier, it's easy to get to. It's not hidden up the back. You also need to see there's wisdom in gluten-free. You know, it seems to be working for my friends. They're not as bloated as they used to be. They're not complaining about cramps anymore. Felt needs. So maybe you start thinking, you know what, I need to be on a healthy diet. Something needs to change. And maybe even a crisis. The doctor says you need to go gluten-free because your life can't keep going the way it is right now. You need to change. A crisis. Alright, so boom, finally you put the gluten-free burger in your mouth. First time you tried it. So now you start noticing, hey, there are benefits. Yeah, I'm not getting as cramped or bloated as I used to. Then you start behaving like a gluten-free eater. So you start changing the way you cook, look up, buying different recipe books, and then you find a belonging with other gluten-free eaters. Now you're on the forums, now you won't wear the t-shirts, you know, on the plane, you say, I'm gluten-free, you know, send this back, blah, blah, blah. And then now you go daily eating, you know, this is all I'm going to do. So you've switched and you're loyal. So the crossover now is Tim tells me he sees the same things in how he became a Christian, how he went from hostile to now a loyal, committed Christian. So it all begins with social forces. His friends are Christians. This seems okay. They're not what I thought Christians would be. Maybe there's something to it. Trials and promotions. So there might be these things we call pre-evangelism events. You know, where Jesus never even got mentioned. What was the point of that? Right? But it's a pre-evangelism event, maybe a church sports team, sign up, make more Christian friends on the church sports team. They don't seem to pull out the Bible, so what's going on here? But yeah, it's a trial, it's a promotion. Maybe even we could put in there introductory Bible courses that people might sign up for. That also goes along with easy access. And easy access would be a church carol service, a family service with a jumping castle. Wisdom. Boy, it seems to work with my friends. They seem to have a better work-life balance. They seem to be better raising their kids. Look at the way they do a family dinner. Boy, that's very attractive. There's a wisdom in what Christians have. You know, there was a guy on my street, non-Christian, and on my street there's 3 other Christians. He said, there's something about you Christians, you just seem to have a wisdom about you. That's actually what it said. Wisdom. There's a wisdom about the way you guys live. Felt needs. Boy, I need a childcare somewhere. Oh, look, this church has a childcare. Or kids vacation club. Or parenting seminar. And then crisis. So often when we listen to testimonies, there usually is a crisis. A health scare, a divorce, death of a loved one, loss of a job, loss of a house, something. There's a crisis that just shakes people up. For Tim, it was the death of his father. That's what really shook him up. And then so he had a crisis. So, you try out Christianity now. So you try it out. So now you think, oh, I might check it out. For you, that might mean going to church. And someone knows benefits. Seems good for my children. You know, they've got a healthy social group now, rather than the drugs and alcohol down there. Friday night, I'd rather my kids go to youth group on a Friday night than hang out with their school friends on a Friday night. Seems to be good for my marriage. And also, I feel cared for. People seem to ask how I'm going during the week. And their talks, Tim said their talks have wisdom. So when he hears the Bible talks, the application has wisdom. There's a lot to this. There's a lot of wisdom in the Bible. So then you start behaving like a Christian. You start going to church. You might go to a small group. You might send your kids to the youth group, and you might sign up on rosters. This is the big weird one. You get non-Christians signing up on rosters for morning tea, for church setup, for church maintenance, and they love it. So in our evangelism, we have felt needs. So my wife runs a church play group. From the felt needs, people have noticed benefits by going to church. They send their kids to the youth group. This is really good for our kids. They start behaving because because now they put themselves on rosters. Some said, part of church, you've got to find rosters to put the non-Christians on. You can couple them on the preaching roster. You've got to find another roster you can put them on. And this way, the music one is a delicate one. Like, what do you do? I've argued we can put them on. My wife says, no, you can't say, Tim Keller seems to have two music rosters, one for the non-Christians, one for the Christians. So for the family service, we wrote my neighbour's kid into playing the drums at the family service. So we got them behaving and belonging. They find it belonging. So my wife just sent me a picture of her midweek Bible study group, and one of the regular attenders is a non-Christian. And she's been coming because her husband's just had a motorbike accident. That's the crisis. He's a quadriplegic. But somehow they find benefits by going to church. He feels cared for. So she's behaving like a Christian. She's going to the Bible study group. She's finding a belonging there. And that's what it is. And then she's not a Christian yet. And then there'll be a switch. Finally, they do it. They convert. I'm loyal to Jesus now. I'm a team Jesus. And so they keep doing all these things. But on top of that, now they have Christian friends. They go to training. They go to conferences like this. And because you're loyal, you're exclusive. So what this means in practice then is be humble about our evangelism efforts and slow to criticise others, because they might be just using a different lever from what we're using, and they might be targeting somewhere different along the funnel to what we are. Also, just think hard about where in the funnel is my non-Christian friend or the people we're targeting. Are we trying to use this lever on people out here? And also, always think there has to be a next step. So yeah, we got them to turn up to this, but is there a next step they can go to? So always trying to move them along the funnel. So they won't get there overnight. It takes probably 2 years for a paradigm shift to occur. When it happens overnight. But sort of is a drip method where it takes about 2 years for someone's paradigm to finally have to be replaced to accommodate the new experience with the new evidence. So be patient. When the change happens, it will happen overnight. Just know we're trying to move them along. So yeah, we got them into the church soccer team. Yeah, there's no Bible, but that's okay. That's not what we're trying to do. But I need to lever them to something after that. So can I get them going here? Can I get them going here as well? All right, I think that's all I have time for. So I'll let Rob chair, MC, and hopefully we can have some questions.
Yeah, we'll have some questions. Thank you very much, Sam.
No worries.
Sharing. Thanks very much for sharing, Sam. It's been very, very helpful. Obviously giving us a number of tools. Does anyone have any questions or responses or thoughts? Andrew, do you want to kick us off?
Does W stand for something? Worker. Yeah, evangelistic worker.
Oh.
So in the missions field, there used to be a C spectrum, C1, C2, I can't remember how many they had, and it was all to do with the church. How many? 6. And so it was all to do with Muslims in closed countries. That was the original context. So it went from something like C1 was the least contextualised this church would be, as in if a Muslim went to church, they went to an American First Baptist church, like in their city, down all the way in, and you work away, like now you go to Indigenous leadership, now to Indigenous signage, to all the way to, you don't even go to church, but you're just a Christian in your community. So that was a spectrum. So it's a useful way for understanding how local Christians in Muslim communities live. But the people appropriated or misappropriated to explain evangelistic work, and the authors kept saying, no, it's C for church, not how you evangelise, it's C for how Indigenous Christians meet and gather. So that these guys came and said, well, let's come up with a new one called the W spectrum, where we're explicitly saying, how do we work as a foreigner in this cross-cultural context? So then I'm just appropriating their tool for our Western context now.
Who are the authors of that, Sam?
It's Farah and Meek. Warwick Farah and Kyle Meek, with a silent E at the end. M-E-E-K-E. Farah, as in Farah Foods.
This is going to be all in your book, isn't it?
It will all be my book.
So that's fine, yes.
It's all going to come out into March next year. And I think I've added columns to their stuff. So I went further on models of Christ and models of sin.
I've got some questions as well. I'm not sure if there are any other initial questions or things. Once these questions start flowing, I think these will start. Anyone else have any questions or? Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. That was great. Just on that last spectrum there where you've got hostile.
Yeah.
What about, so often now we're still 2 or 3 or 4 generations of people who are just completely ignorant.
Yeah.
No context. They're not even hostile because they've got nothing to be hostile against.
Yes.
So,
That's even worse than hostile.
Yeah,
They don't even know
yeah.
you exist. They can't be hostile. They don't even know you exist.
So, what do you think of stepping back to that point there?
It still has to be social forces. That's the only way you can get to know. So like the woman in the Uber last night, her mother went to mass, her sister was religious, but she actually had no idea of Christianity. Like she's going, tell me about Jesus. Like where would I even read about Jesus? And I'm telling her the book of Luke. She hadn't even heard of the book of Luke. She was completely ignorant. I think that's what we're dealing with now, this complete ignorance. And so when I come out here sometimes to do evangelistic seminars to lay people, say that means we have to merge our universes, get our friends to become their friends. We have to deliberate lifestyle change. Evangelism is not an event we add to our life. Like I've got to tell my friends about Jesus. I actually have to deliberately, proactively make friends with non-Christians, but that itself is not enough. I have to get my Christian friends to make friends with my non-Christian friends, so to merge the universes rather than 2 separate universes. And it takes 2 years for this to happen. My wife and I have been so deliberate about this, and we've noticed that all our non-Christian friends, I said, have you noticed something? None of them are from Sydney. They moved into Sydney in the last 5 years, so they have no friends. They're devoid of friends. So it's really easy to get your Christian friends to become their friends, and that's what we're slowly trying to do. I think that's what it's still in social forces. And someone just emailed me, and this guy is called James Feldmeyer down in Hobart, an amazing evangelist. He has heard the statistic. Someone needs to know 6 Christians before they become a Christian. And so we can't just go solo. We have to introduce them to 5 other Christian friends.
So that's hospitality.
And tonight or tomorrow night, I say we've forgotten that hospitality is actually evangelism. It provides a space and permission and a warrant for evangelism. So when you look at Jesus, he's always at a meal. And now you reread the New Testament, it's hospitality. I never noticed prams until I had to buy a pram. And I noticed everywhere. And we've never noticed hospitality. Now you look at the Bible and it is everywhere. So we looked at the word gifts, teaching, preaching, evangelism, but we missed out the hospitality, which gives the permission and the space for that to happen. So we try to do this without hospitality. So we need to rediscover hospitality and look for creative ways for hospitality.
I've got another question. I've got a question.
Sure.
Just we'll get into this question because I've got it here, so I'm setting up. So sorry.
So I'll just add to that. So my wife and I've got to say this. Like we live in many non-Christian universes. We're trying really hard to make friends, trying to tell everyone about Jesus. The swimming pool, after school one, that's not working. But it's half now, it's loud, it's public. The AFL one, up until now, wasn't working. But someone said you try to become the de facto chaplain. Throw yourself on all the rosters, win their trust, and it's bit by bit that's working. And invite them back to your home for barbecues afterwards. But it's the playgroup universe that's working. Because after playgroup, my wife invites them back to my home for lunch. So it's all about can you get them into your home for lunch. I think that's what it is, it's hospitality. And that just changes everything. Yes?
Thank you for sharing, giving some frameworks and tools. If we were to go away here, particularly in our ministry context, whatever it is, say we're going to do a 4-week evangelism series in our church or in our context. What would be the best way of structuring it? Being mindful of the W4 to W1. Maybe it goes from popular culture to the gospel. What would you suggest? That's one of the things we need to do.
Well, just assuming everyone knows the gospel, all right? So you should begin. You got to preach the gospel. You got to know the gospel. So maybe 3 things. They say to teach maths to Johnny, you got to know maths, and you got to know Johnny. And now I'd add the 3rd thing. You got to know yourself. You got to know what is your culture. Otherwise, you're going to impose your culture on these people, thinking it was Jesus. So you got to know yourself first and your own culture. You got to know the gospel. So we'll assume that as a given. Maybe explore further. You got to know all the metaphors of the gospel. So there's freedom, there's hope, there's purpose, and there's forgiveness. I think we've kept preaching forgiveness, and there's a place for that. But if they don't feel guilty, that's not their first existential cry. So you got to find where they're crying. Like for Jesus and the woman, well, it was water. For Nicodemus, it was being born again. So he doesn't offer Nicodemus living water, and he doesn't offer the woman, well, being born again. So you've got to work out where's the best entry point. And so I think to learn the storyline of your culture. What is the storyline of your culture? And right now the storyline of the culture is this. You know, we were atoms and molecules, we evolved, we're highly sophisticated animal species, we were wanderers, then we became farmers, then we became civilizations, the power structures imposed a narrative of religion upon us as a social contract, but in the Enlightenment we got free from that, used reason to think for ourselves, to be free, and we have to reject all other forms of authority, and it's all about being brave enough to be true to yourself. Don't listen to what anyone else tells you to be who you want to be. So if we come and tell them the gospel, we are the bad guys in that storyline. We're threatening to take them back to the dark ages. So you've got to know their storyline first, and then you've got to learn how to read their cultural texts. So look at their cultural text. Behind every cultural text, movie, song, painting, ad, whatever, learn to hear how is it expressing the storyline, then hear the existential cry in that cultural text. Just like Paul used the idols in Acts 17 as a cultural text, and how did he get the gospel into that storyline? So I run a website called espressotheology.com, and I just, as randomly for fun, I pick the most weird cultural text, something I know nothing about, and I think, okay, this is my exercise. It keeps me sharp. How can I hear the existential cry in this cultural storyline and land the gospel into it? So we've all been taught how to oppose a culture. So my latest one was on Taylor Swift, and like I could come and say she's stupid, she's vacuous, she's narrow, she's two-dimensional. But they'll be like Paul coming to Athens and say, you've got idols, how stupid is that? Look, you've even got one to an unknown God. What's with that? But he said, no, work with it. There's a cry there. You want to be religious, you want to worship, you want to get in touch with the transcendent. Wow. Come a bit further, find Jesus. So I think those three things: learn the cultural storyline, learn how to read and interpret the text in that culture, and learn how to land Jesus into that storyline. Oh, there's a... oh, no, sorry.
It was just on the line of question that I asked. You were mentioning how evangelism and reaching out to culture is very non-religious. So is that meant to challenge the way we think about church in terms of there's a period of time where the church was very centric.
Yeah.
And now it seems like it's something that we bring it back around to the conversation. How does it change the way we think about church?
All right, so the question is, how does it challenge the way we think about church and especially evangelistic events? I think there still is a place for evangelistic events, but it can't just be evangelistic events. It has to be a lifestyle change, just like we need a lifestyle change. The church has to be evangelistic, and all it comes down to a theology and model of church. So is church a gathering for believers only? Well, I say no, it's a gathering of believers and unbelievers. So how we distinguish between the visible church and the invisible church? So the invisible church is the church of saints and believers. But the visible church, the local concrete church we have in the corner, is full of believers and unbelievers. That's the visible church. Paul seems to have the same thing in Corinthians when he says, you know, we want to have prophecy, because prophecy is ordered. Why? So when the non-believer in your gathering hears that, they say, wow, the Lord is really here. So Timothy Keller then says, in practice, we have to run church as if non-believers are there. So we can't just look out and say, there are no non-believers here, so I'm just going to run church like I always do. Because the problem is when we say, you've got to bring your friends to church, they say, not if it was like today, I'm not bringing my church. So you've got to run it every Sunday as if there would have been non-Christians there. And people are going to go, wow, today would have been perfect for my brother. So you're trying to run church in such a way that everyone at the end of church is going, oh, I'm an idiot, I should have brought my friend today. Today would have been perfect for my friend. Oh, I'm an idiot, why didn't I bring my friend today? So we keep running church that way, then people will bring their non-believers. And then Keller says that not just in practice, then the message has to change. We can't preach ethics to believers, like you must be faithful to your wife, you must be generous, you must do this, because that sounds like legalism to a non-believer, because we have the implied gospel. So you have to be explicit about the gospel. Because of Jesus and what he's done, you need to be faithful to your wife. Because Jesus is generous to us on the cross, you need to be generous. So you always got to deal with the gospel. And so your practice and your message has to change as your non-believers are there and the non-believers come. Again, it's about merging the universes, not just in your private social life, but the churches need to learn to merge their universes. And it takes forever to get the whole church team on board. I know I preached at evangelistic services where people meant to bring their friends, and no one gets it. The MC will get up. Welcome to today's evangelistic service. What are you doing? You're running as if there's no non-Christians here. And a woman gets up and does this 15-minute prayer. Not that there's anything wrong with 15-minute prayer, but the prayer was just so smug and self-righteous. Thank you, Lord, that we have the truth, and we're not like those who are in darkness, and that will liberate them. What are you doing? People brought their friends here today. But no one is running it as if people brought their friends, and I think it's a problem.
There's another question.
Yes,
It's interesting you mention that, because I think as a church we're in a really different stage at the moment where we've got Royal Commission and we're going to be post-Royal Commission soon. And when I mention to people, friends, mums, I know I go to church, all of a sudden it's like, that's that place.
Yeah.
That, there's child abuse, this, the other. So how do we talk about this wonderful story that we know in our hearts about the risen Christ, acknowledging what the church has done to people? How do you hold those tensions when we evangelise to people who are reading the newspapers? How do we reposition and acknowledge the story? And what is the good storyline?
So their storyline there, it's belief in absolutes that makes you that way. Your problem is you believe in absolutes, so it makes you intolerant and bigot and hateful, and that's why the church is messed up, because it believes in absolutes. But if we all just learn to believe, hey, all ways are the same, we'll be loving and tolerant and inclusive. So that's their storyline. And so I'm stealing this from Timothy Keller. He would say, yep, you're right. So enter, the church is guilty, horrible things have happened, and if you've got time, explain. And that's because the church, Jesus said he came not to call the righteous to salvation, but the sinners. So the church is full of sinners. It's like a plain hospital full of sick, broken people. So that's where the church is always going to begin. But it's not belief of absolutes that's a problem, because everyone believes in absolutes. It's which absolutes you choose to believe in. And so Jesus' absolutes are this. So when he got arrested, and I'm stealing this from John Lennox, Peter pulls out his sword, and Jesus says, put away the sword, and he heals the guy's ear, meaning my way is persuasion. Words, not the sword, not violence, never violence. I might be king of the whole universe, everyone ought to bow and worship me, but we only persuade. And then Timothy Keller says, when Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela faced all the horrors and evils in the churches, who were racists and bigots and intolerant, they gave them more Jesus, not less. Gave them more Bible, not less. So the solution is actually more Jesus. So the problem isn't that they have Jesus, the problem is they have too little Jesus. Otherwise this should not happen. They need more Jesus. And then you can point them, and this is Stephen from Timothy Keller, if you look at the age, some gunman came into their community and just shot all their children, and they forgave. I've stood in the church at St. James, Kenilworth, Cape Town. You can see the bullet holes where gunmen came in, threw some grenades, sprayed their guns into the congregation on a Sunday morning, and the church forgave. And the things, and people think, what makes people forgive gunmen like that? What's what absolutes you believe in? If you believe in Jesus, who loves unconditionally, he tells us to forgive, to pray for our enemies, bless our persecutors. Those absolutes will lead to more love, more tolerance. So I guess the thing is, yes, you are right, it's wrong, not condoned, but the solution is they need Jesus. The problem is they become too institutionalized and moved away from Jesus. They need more Jesus. So maybe let me tell you about Jesus.
That's not straightforward though.
No, that's not straightforward. I think they just need to see from you. So my wife, she's the only Christian in her school community, and the always thing is, wow, your husband's an ordained minister, and you're a Christian. But I think Andrew Laird was saying, your life becomes the defeat of belief. Because they always go, oh, that doesn't match what I thought about Christians. So I think that's it's not just what we say, because that sounds like just a smart sound bite, but they see in your life, well, that doesn't match what I thought. And hospitality, it all comes down to hospitality again. If they eat with you, then I think that is the biggest defeat of belief. I have a friend who became a Christian over a series of years. Many things happened, and so I thought a lot of those, and I thought, okay. So he said, you know what I love the most about playing with you? And I thought, oh, it was going to be the times we did this, this, and this, and that's how we became a Christian because of this, this, and this. He said, it was whenever you invited me home to your family dinner. That's what I loved the most. So somehow the family dinner was powerfully evangelistic on this guy who was unchurched, Buddhist upbringing, never knew about Jesus. So it's hospitality.
Other questions? So maybe what about how does that engaging our culture? How does the manner and delivery? How does that affect in our culture? How does manner and the delivery of I'll have to shut my thing down. Manner and delivery affects engagement culture.
Wow, I think it's your tone, it's your body language. You don't look like Jesus giving you freedom. You don't look like there is joy in the Christian life. I think, and you got to not be oppositional. So we've been brought up with a culture wars model. You know, your culture says this, but, you know, so we always come here looking for a fight. So when they're talking, we're always trying to work out, well, when can I come in and say they're wrong? Well, so not be oppositional, but be affirmational. So last night, in the Uber ride, the woman finds out I'm a Christian, and she said, and I'm about to give a talk. And she says, oh yeah, my mum was religious, my sister's religious. I don't know, I don't think there's a God. In the end, it's whatever beauty you can find in life. So I can never come in, whoa, no, there is a God. You're going to hell. All religions can't be the same because I said, wow, beauty. Tell me about that. So get her talking, hear her storyline first. I think my friend James Velmite, Hobart, he says there's three sorts of listening. First listening is where you're trying to work out when you can come in and say they're wrong and what you're going to say. Second listening is where you're just waiting for it's your turn to speak. Hurry up because I have a story I want to say. But the third listening is where you just get them talking. So hear, understand and feel. So just get them talking. And so that's what I did last night. Rather than say, okay, how can I ever tell that all religions can't be the same? No, get her talking, hear her, understand and feel her. See where she's coming from. See how I can enter the storyline with Jesus. And it was only towards the end, in the last 5 minutes of the 50-minute ride, it was so funny because we were running so late and my phone just kept buzzing. I thought, where are you? Where are you? But that's the best thing about being a speaker. They can't start without you. So by definition, you're never late. So, and I said, and in the end, she said, well, what does Jesus represent? I said, you knowing him, he'll set you free because God will love you just the way you are. Jesus is perfect, so we don't have to pretend to be perfect. But here's the thing, it only works if Jesus is the only way. Because if God is real, if God is loving, if he's personal, there can only be one way. And rather than us fumbling in the dark, trying to guess what that way is, Jesus comes to us and we know there's only one way. So it became what you say at the end, because it matches her storyline, rather than when you bring it at the start, oh dude, you're so wrong, they can't all be right. So enter first, I think. And you can only do that, you just listen, rather than trying to listen and butt in, listen and work out how they're wrong. Just listen. I think that's the tone, that's the manner.
Yeah, it's my turn to speak.
Yes, sorry.
So after in an hour's time, we're going to have a conversation here, it's an evangelistic conversation. So what are you going to be trying to do in our big questions conversation? What are some of the things that we should be looking out for?
Oh, so it's that resonate, dissonate gospel. People have got to hear you speak their storyline back at them.
So what's the storyline we're going to be speaking here?
What is the key to life? That we're actually we're looking for meaning. We're looking for purpose. So the whole idea is get them nodding their heads. Get them going, yeah, that is me, you got me, that is me. It's funny, that's how stand-up comedy works. So you speak with our granddads, it's what's called punchline comedy. You have to land on a punchline, and that's what makes joke telling so hard, because you never remember the punchline. But now it's just observational comedy. You just observe life, and people just laugh. That is me, that is my life, that is what happens. So that's what you're trying to do, speak their cultural storyline back at them. So they go, yeah, That is me. That is so me. That is me. You've heard me, you've understood me, you've felt me. That is my existential cry. So speak the existential cry back at me.
Is that right? It's a stand-up comedian in the room here. Is that kind of... So what else? So we're trying to enter, trying to get people nodding, but then what else are we trying to do as a
So
conversation?
after you've entered, Tim Keller says you've got a challenge. So I said, you just got to get to a ha moment. I never thought about it that way. I've got a problem, or I'm not going to find a happy ending I'm looking for. So just get them to this moment.
So we're doing nod.
Nod. So you're just getting them nodding for the first logical third of your presentation. Middle logical third, you've got to get them to this moment. And the final logical third, so well, guess what? Jesus will give you the happy ending you're looking for. And he's the only way, so you're not giving them syncretism, as in you just adopt Jesus and your meaning beliefs. He's the only way you find a happy ending, and it'll be a far, far better happy ending than what you had ever hoped for. Get them wishing it was true. So last night, by the end of the Uber ride, I think the woman was wishing this really was true. Because I was able to tell her grace and all that. She said, what is grace? I said, well, it's a gift. So it's amazing. The song Amazing Grace, she said, I never known what grace meant. I said, it's a gift. I thought it was a power, it was a force. No, it's a gift. So, and she was wishing it was true by the end.
Maybe about 5 more minutes of questions or discussion or other things we want. Yep.
How would you apply this sort of model to, say, a conversation about same-sex marriage or homosexuality?
Yeah. So begin where they are. You say, yeah, you are so right. Well, what is my position? I say my position is the position of Jesus. It's about justice, it's equality, it's rights. And Jesus, out of all people, believed in justice, equality, and rights. And then I say, funny enough, without Jesus, it's hard to believe in justice, equality, and rights, because we're just atoms or molecules, and we're just another form of life, another species of animal. You know, there would be no such thing as justice, equality, or fairness. But because Jesus says, you know, the least of these, you know, is one of mine, everyone's in my image, there's equality. That's why we believe in equality. So Jesus is big on equality, I'm big on equality. So they're nodding heads, yeah, I'm for equality. And Jesus was big on love. So I'm big on unconditional love. So Jesus does this by eating and drinking with his enemies. And Jesus tells his followers, you are to love unconditionally. Because anyone can love those who love them back. But you are to love those who don't agree with you. That's what I want my followers to love those who disagree with you. That's love. And then Jesus practiced true inclusion. He ate with those who disagree with him. And the funny thing is, if you only eat with those who agree with you, that's exclusion. You're excluding those who don't like you. But Jesus, no, I want you to eat and drink with those who disagree with you. That's true inclusion. But here's the thing then. So, in essence, for unconditional love to be unconditional love, not conditional, for inclusion to be inclusion, not exclusion, you actually got to be able to disagree. So that's a hard one. I never thought about that. So it all comes down to where people disagree. And when it comes to sex and morality, we disagree on everything. But we always have this belief that some forms of sex and morality are right, some are wrong. Some are appropriate, some are inappropriate. So where do we draw that line to disagree? Well, in our toolkit, we've only got 3, maybe 4 sources. The first source is this. I, as an individual, I get to choose where that line is. But come on, that's just selfishness, and we all make mistakes. I can't be the only one to choose. And if I ever decide, hey, I want to leave my wife and kids because I want to, you know, I've just found someone younger, whatever. You say, you can't do that. You've got wife and kids. So it can't just be me who gets to decide what to do with sex and morality. So secondly, is it society? Majority opinion, democracy. The problem with that is society often gets it wrong. You look back and oh, we got that wrong. And it means you can never critique other societies or your own society. And in the history of moral reform always comes from an individual minority voice, not a majority voice. So you can't trust the majority of society to get it right. Well, let's look at the animal kingdom. Just do what happens in nature. And here the Christians love the penguins because Daddy Penguin is so faithful, monogamous, hanging around with the birth of the child. Good on him. But so why the penguin? Why not the dog? Why not the elephant, where there is violence and rape? And then someone said, well, why not the black widow spider, where the woman eats the man after sex, which says a lot about the male sex drive. Doesn't it? Like, this is going to end badly, but what it all comes down to is, will you give me a 4th choice? There's a God who loves me, who made me, and he gets to tell me what is good for me, the individual, what is good for society, and what is good in the animal kingdom to copy, and what is not good in the animal kingdom not to copy, is our fourth choice. And that's where you and I might disagree. Is there a fourth choice? God who loves me, who made me. He'll say things I don't understand. He'll say things I don't agree with, but that's what a loving personal relationship is all about. And that's where you and I might disagree. But it's not over love. It's not over human rights. It's over where we disagree about these issues. So enter, challenge Jesus. You know. So that's a very formal answer. I would say that's what I give in high school chapel services. It seems to work. But someone said, "Wow, I was on a train platform the other day, catching a train, and this guy says to me, 'What did you learn last night?' I heard about, same-sex marriage." And he says, "Oh, what did they teach you?" And this guy didn't know where to start, but he said, "It's about love. It's about loving people just the way they are." And this guy went, "Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because my daughter is transitioning right now, and I don't know what to do with that." So had he come in oppositional, that would have just shut down the conversation and maybe never happen again, because it's all about love. We just got to love people where they are, no matter who they are, because that's what Jesus teaches us. Wow, that opened the conversation. So we found common ground first, entered first into their storyline.
Let me have one more question to send before we have to settle down. Yep.
I just had a question about how would you use those tools to motivate or change the way that the Christians in your community think about evangelism? Because often that's a really big factor, right? Like whether people actually start or not.
It really is a paradigm shift, not just for the non-Christians, but for the Christians and the Christian culture. See, it's not the Christian faith, it's the Christian culture we've inherited. So I think bit by bit, just chip away, but it's really hard, it's got to be top down, bottom up. Somehow a cultural shift has to happen. Somehow the pastoral team, the deacons, the elders all have to be on the same page, knowing what we're trying to do. And then whoever's running the church service on that Sunday has to know what we're trying to do. That we're trying to be affirmational, we're trying to be entering as well as oppositional and challenging to both hands. We've got to run everything as if non-Christians are there as well. For my church, mate, I think it took 5 years or 10 years to change it. But I was in a position, you're not. I was one of the preachers, I was one of the deacons, so it's really, really hard. But hopefully, will these cultural shifts, maybe cultural shifts happen at church as well? Yeah, but that is really hard. Well, easier to change a non-Christian than it is to change a Christian.
Well, please say thanks to Sam.